I just bought a MacBook, and since I've grown up on Windows and been using it for the past 10 years, I thought what better way to introduce my MacBook than to explain all the differences between Mac and Windows OS and why I think Windows is just better. So I mainly got this MacBook to program, specifically in Swift. I've tried to use Xcode on my Windows computer through a virtual box, and I just don't think my computer was strong enough to handle it, because every time I would open Xcode on the virtual machine, it would crash. I've rarely used a MacBook before getting my own. The rest of my family uses Mac, while I've always been the Windows kid, and every time I would use their MacBooks to just like look up things on the internet, I would always kind of have like a tough time. And that goes into my first point. Where is the Alt key? There's no Alt key on the Mac keyboard. Instead, you have this Command key, but you also have a Control key. So every time I would open like Google Docs or anything, and I would try to do Control C, Control V to copy and paste a line, it would never work. You have to use Command on MacBooks. Command C, Command V. But then why have the Control key? It doesn't make any sense. The next thing that I want to highlight is the difference in power between Mac devices and Windows devices. While Mac and Windows are both just operating systems, and they don't really have any say on the hardware they're going to be using, you're always getting upcharged for buying a Mac OS. This Mac I got on sale for like $300 off. It's going for $1,000, but I was able to get it at around $650. Even still, I think it's kind of a high price to pay for the hardware I'm getting with the computer. It's 13 inches, so it's very slim and small, perfect for school. It's 2020, so it should be able to hold up for the next few years. And let's look at the actual hardware of the computer. We have a 2.3 gigahertz quad-core Intel i7. The quad-core Intel i7 is quite nice. I know there are Macs that have single core, which is like, wow, are you serious? The 2.3 gigahertz is not that crazy though. This is not something that's going to be able to run GTA 6. With this kind of processing power, the most that you're going to be able to do with this computer is media editing, complex programming, which is what I'm trying to do with it, and just use some of those hard-hitting programs. I could buy like a Lenovo laptop for $600 and probably get at least a 3 gigahertz processor. The graphics are integrated with an Intel Iris Plus graphics at around 1500 megabytes. It's not too bad. The memory is pretty good though. We have 16 gigabytes of 3733 megahertz DDR4 RAM. Now this is something that I was surprised to see in a MacBook. When I was on the market for a Mac, I was seeing like $1,200 Macs, but only 8 gigabytes of RAM. Not only is it 16 gigabytes of RAM, so it has more volatile storage, it's also DDR4 and above 3000 megahertz of speed, which means that your reading and writing from your RAM is going to be a lot faster on this machine compared to some of these other MacBooks. There were also Macs on the marketplace with like 1600 megahertz RAM. That's not going to be sufficient for a lot of things that people are using computers for these days. These lower end Macs are more comparable to a Chromebook, where the most that a person is going to be able to do on the computer is open up the internet, open up Google Docs. I'm very grateful for this purchase. Having a Mac has been a learning curve for me, and I'm going to go over some of the things that I found that are different between Mac and Windows. So the biggest thing that I found so annoying with Mac is that you cannot do multi-window. If I'm on this MacBook right here and I'm on Visual Studio Code and maybe I want to look up some stuff on Stack Overflow, I'm having problems with my code. If I pull up Google next to my Visual Studio Code, I can't snap it to the right of the screen. I can't format each of the windows so I can see both of the windows at the same time. If we hop on my Windows machine here, you can see that I can easily put different windows in different parts of the desktop, formatting it however I like. I can stretch them. I can see everything going on from one screen. I'm not sure if Mac desktops have this issue, but since this is a functionality that I think is part of the operating system, I wouldn't be surprised if Mac desktops are also facing this issue, which in this case, embarrassing. Using computers are all about productivity, and if you're not able to see what's going on in one window while changing some data in another window, you're going to be just going back and forth a lot. There is a setting in Mac so that you're not having this clustered look to your computer, and that is going to be in the dock settings. You can go to Stage Manager, where it will put all of your applications to the side and you can call them one by one. But it still does not solve the problem of having two windows open at the same time and being able to view them. Alternatively, if you're using a Mac, you should learn your keyboard shortcuts. For example, if I have this window open, I could just do Control H to hide it. And if I have an application open and I want to full on close it in the process completely, I can do Command Q. Except I guess I can't do Command Q with Finder. See, this is also why I don't like Stage Manager. If I close an app, it automatically brings up the next app. What if I got some dirty app in my dock and I close this app out? It's going to bring up Just make it make sense. The next thing that I noticed about macOS is that it already has UNIX installed, which for programmers out there, people that are in tune with Linux, UNIX being installed in the terminal automatically is very nice if you want to use the terminal as a command line. You can do this in Windows as well, but you need something like WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux, whereas Macs, it already comes pre-installed in the default terminal. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe this is because Mac is a variation of Unix. So for example, if I look up terminal and I open up the terminal, I can use Linux commands such as cd. This is just navigating the system files through Linux. So I opened up the directory of my school programming and I typed code period, and here we are. This is my assignment. Since we use Linux in my programming classes, I've had to set up Ubuntu and Linux on my Windows computer before I had a Mac, but now I can just walk into my programming classes with my MacBook and be like ready to go, which is pretty neat. Now on the flip side of Mac helping out developers, they also want to just take away all the power. Mac hides way too much. It hides all of your system files, it hides your operating system files, which on one side of the spectrum, it's very convenient for creating an aesthetic and minimalist user interface. But even just this application right here, Activity Monitor, this is the Mac OS equivalent of Task Manager in Windows. It just highlights all of the processes that are running on your computer. And if you're wondering what I mean by that, I'm not talking about strictly just the applications, but also all of the system processes and things that are going on in the background. This is a very nice application to have access to, since it allows you to close applications that you are not using. Sometimes when you close an application, it could still be running in the background and using data. It's just an important application to have. If I go to my Launchpad, this is all the applications that Mac deems applications. Mac deems these as this is what you're going to open when you're running your computer. If you notice, there is no Activity Monitor in it. Just want to pause the video right here to highlight Reese being stupid. Activity Monitor can be found in the other folder. So yeah, Reese, good job. To see your system files, you have to do this extra step of doing go library or go computer hosts all of your hard drive files. So this is all your raw files stored in your hard drive, and then those files are then converted to your applications folder, your desktop folder. But here we have our system files, and our library file has all of the things that are relating to the operating system, such as framework, some Apple stuff such as connectability between your devices, things like that. Speaking of Apple compatibility, that is our next thing we're going to be going over, and it is one of the biggest unexpected benefits of having a Mac. As an iPhone guy and a content creator, I make music, I'm making this YouTube video right now, I transfer a lot of data between my computer and my phone. And whether it's videos, song lyrics, being able to transfer these files between devices without using a middleman or Google Drive. Google Drive is great, but it has a very limited amount of storage. With the transfer of data being directly from my phone to my computer, I don't have to worry about these storage issues as long as my computer has enough storage and my phone has enough storage. I don't have this cap of 15 gigabytes anymore. So in conclusion, I'm very happy to have a Mac. There are some things about the Mac UI that I find are very clean, very nice to look at. But a lot of the things in the Mac OS just feel restrictive. Feel like you don't have a lot of control over it. Another example is this dock bar right here. I don't even understand the organization of the items on the bottom. I know that the bottom right are the things that I have open currently, and then it's next to the trash. If I close out a mail, it's still here. I can move it to this side of the bar, and I can move it back. Okay, wait, I dropped the mail in the left part, but I can't put it back. If I take like OBS and I move it over here, but don't place it, put it back, it'll let me. I don't understand what that means. I don't understand what these lines have to do with anything, but this is just the learning curve of having a new operating system. I'm going to have to figure it out. I keep clicking the desktop and it keeps just bringing up my open applications, which is very annoying. Thanks, Stage Manager. Just give us multi-windows. I don't understand why they can't just snap the windows like Windows does. I guess that's why it's called Windows. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry about that. That joke didn't even make sense. I'm just too tired to make jokes right now. If you're a student looking to just take notes, maybe use some Adobe products or Microsoft 365 applications, the MacBook is great for you. If you're someone who wants complete control over their machine, maybe needs to do tasks that take a little bit more processing power, I would look into getting a Windows computer. The operating systems aren't too different, and I feel like a lot of Mac users are very scared to jump into Windows, but it just offers so much more. So here's my hot take on Mac versus Windows. I want to keep this an open discussion, so drop your opinion opinion down below. If you think I'm totally wrong, tell me why. I'm very interested to see how the Mac community responds to this. I already know the Linux community is already typing their paragraphs. They haven't even left the house today. Sorry, Linux users. Sorry. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. Peace out.